Wow. I'm surprised that people even do stuff like this nowadays. So whilst I was bored, I did a tier list ranking of all the Sonic games, including the fan games too. And now from the time I made this tier list, it's probably been days, or weeks, or months. I think we got some good action going on here though. Like, you know, we got Adventure 2 at A rank, Sonic Rush Adventure at B rank, you know, the good stuff. And many other decent games all around. But look at the top of the list. It says, still competing for my favorite Sonic game. And the comparators are Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Frontiers. Games that are like peak fiction as humans know it. So basically, whenever I'm asked about Sonic games I like, I always point to games like Black Knight or Generations. Or whether I'm asked about my favorite Sonic games, it's always Unleashed or Frontiers. When asked about my favorite Sonic game, the word is singular now, it's very hard to decide. At times Unleashed is my favorite, and at times Frontiers is my favorite. So these games are always clashing for my number one spot. So, who's number one? That's what I'm gonna find out today.
Hilltop delicious.
To find out who's number one, we're going to be assessing each game by your usual game quality, such as gameplay, story, presentation / style, and the music. The clashing of these games ends today. Who is the favorite? The way Sonic controls in the games is vital. Let's see how both games handle them differently. Now, it is important to acknowledge that both games are going for different gameplay philosophies. Sonic Unleashed is more linear for Sonic and explorative for his Werehog form, whereas in Sonic Frontiers, it's all about exploration. It's mostly exploration in an open world. I mean, open zone. I said open zone, okay? So how does Sonic actually control? Let's start with Unleashed. Right as you start the first stage, you can already feel the speed of this gameplay, and he's got some crazy acceleration. I'm talking like 0 to 100. And when you put him in place, you can move him around in all directions smoothly, and even Frontiers gets this right. Would you look at that? Then you proceed with the stage and learn new moves such as simple jumping, homing attacking, and quick stepping. But none of these moves can compare to a mechanic that makes Unleashed Day stages fun to play. You see that ring energy gauge fill up, and you hit the X button or square button, and Sonic just goes flying. But not only that, but being able to hold it down means you can just tear down everything that gets your way. I like it. It's cool. And as you progress through the game, you'll unlock new moves to use along the way, get more comfortable with how Sonic plays in general. But what's good controls without good level design, you feel me? Level design is always crucial to how Sonic stages play, and making these stages worthwhile. Now with Sonic Unleashed, it starts off pretty basic, with boosting in straight lines and switching grind rolls, but as you progress in the game, they start to get a bit more complex with multiple branching pathways and secrets, complementing the new moves that you attain throughout the game to beat stages. And all I've talked about single-handedly prepares you for the final exam of the game, Eggman Land. Now I would talk about Eggman Land, but we need to keep moving. But the progression is sort of subtle, but not subtle collectathon of collectibles that are compulsory for completion. I said a lot of big words, so let me break it down for you. There are these things called medals that you'll realize sooner or later that are meant for advancing. Finding these throughout stages can be cool, but can get boring after a while. Like, I'm not going to slow down and search the entirety of Spagonia to look for a single one. Like, this is a Sonic game, I want to go fast. And it doesn't help when you arrive at different locations, you don't have enough medals to play stages or boss fights to progress. So you have to revisit old stages to find them. This can be positive as it could encourage players to find new paths and explore different areas, but when the possibility of doing this multiple times in the playthrough is high, especially reaching Adabert will request 120 medals to play at one, it gets frustrating and kills the flow. This idea of progression could work if they just made finding medals exclusive to the night stages as you're going slow anyway. It's funny because in the other version, no, not this one, the other one, the gameplay loop is actually enjoyable. This is because the medal collecting is optional. The way to progress is just to keep playing. Medal collecting is only for opening secret rooms and Gaia gates to get more collectibles and unlock secrets, and that's pretty much it. This version is not as open as the HD version, but the progression is much simpler. Speaking about openness, Sonic's control in this game is pretty solid. You got the smooth turning, while they actually learned from their previous titles, the boost and all other Sonic moves, including the legendary drop dive. that was rough. But it feels great to play him within the open zone. But what if I told you that this game has two gameplay styles? In open zone, the game allows you to adjust sliders for sonic movement, allowing for some crazy possibilities. But in cyberspace, this guy controls like a car with the most inertia any human being has ever seen. Turning in the air is a chore. Oh my gosh. You think that they learn from forces, but nope, you repeat the same mistakes. Anyways, how does Sonic interact with the level design in this game? Now for the open zone, obviously the design encourages full exploration. Linearity here is non-existent. Grinding on rails, running up walls, and scaling massive structures, and just running in general, slowly heading towards your goal. Using rails to jump off and carry momentum whilst traversing through an open area can just be so satisfying. Open zone level design, while rough in places, is simple and fun to interact with. Then you get to cyberspace, and the level design is... Let me diverge for a bit. I talked about how Unleashed level design progressively gets more complex. We don't really see that progression of linearity in previous 3D Sonic games, except maybe SA2. The level design is fun, difficult, but it has an identity. That's the word. Now in context of what we're talking about, identity is the unique set of characteristics that can be used to identify something as itself and nothing else. Unleashed level design clearly has identity, with again its multiple branching pathways, secrets, and challenging the player to get through levels with tough and reaction time based platforming. And thus Unleashed set the foundation for how boost games function going forward. Now I'm here to tell you that out of the 30 levels within this game, over half of them are just borrowed level designs from better games in terms of gameplay. But to be fair, as soon as you get to Ouranos Island, the originality in level design starts to pick up, and all these levels are actually pretty decent, albeit they're actually short. The thing is, if the originality in level design is not consistent, then overall cyberspace's level design does not have an identity. There's no consistency in the quality of level design that differentiates Sonic Frontiers in cyberspace from other boost games. But overall, level design in Frontiers is okay, either way, and I can vibe with it. But there's a lot of room for improvement. Now, for progression, it's straightforward. Defeat Guardians on the island, go into cyberspace and get those dang Vault Keys, get your Chaos Emeralds, defeat some more and get some more, then be the living hell of the Titan at the end of each island. Simple, right? But you're doing all of this whilst collecting memory tokens around the island to progress the story. Sonic Frontiers will never escape the collectathon allegations, my word. It's a nice gameplay loop, but doing this again and again with each island and it just gets so tiring and repetitive. I will note that the game does take a deviation from this loop on Rare Island, but that's only for story purposes. On the next island, you rinse and repeat just as before. Wait! But what if I want to relax whilst being the game? Then just go fishing and complete the game that way. I talked about defeating stuff, right?